First of all, I'm delighted opportunity to talk about the National Internship Scheme. I mean, I am very conscious that we're now at the 3rd anniversary of the very disastrous bank guarantee, and to be perfectly honest, it's just a pity that some of the parties who voted for the bank guarantee weren't as astute in recognising the difficulties it would lead us into and the legacy it's left us with. But I just want to make a few points about the National Internship Scheme, which was launched about 12 weeks ago on the 1st of July, and which to date has had applications from about over 4,000 employers, of whom about 2,600 have been accepted as being appropriate internship hosts. And I know that lots of people have concerns that the way the scheme works should ensure its core aims and objectives, which is a quality internship, which is a learning experience, which is a work experience, which includes the person being mentored. And I hope that at the end of that, the scheme will then provide an opportunity for employers, in fact, to take on the intern in more permanent employment. I should say that the history of internship around the world, and if you look at the academic literature, is extremely positive. There are certain types of social welfare intervention, back to work schemes that actually really do help people. One of them is internship, and if you look at people who have written extensively about the problem for people who become long-term unemployed, the damage that does to their whole life over an extended period of time, where they lose confidence in themselves, they lose connection with the workplace, and they lose motivation. And if they, for instance, have a particular skills level, a long period and a long spell of unemployment can simply damage your skills level, so that the skills that you once had become out of date. And for instance, if you're a graduate and you don't get work within a reasonable time frame, the next set of graduates who are coming out, you're competing with them, and that's an added difficulty. So I think in this discussion it's important that we recognise what an internship can do. I think a lot of members in this House as well would be familiar with, for instance, the Back to Work Enterprise Allowance. Again, that's an extremely positive scheme that offers people a lot of self-validation and appreciation of their absolute willingness to get up and to try to recreate or to create for the first time opportunities and a business opportunity for themselves. We also have, and in the 1990s, I was heavily involved in the development of back to work schemes, and people here in the House may remember that back to work schemes offered again high levels of personal validation for people, where essentially the state was giving people a hand up, right? And not simply saying to people, here's social welfare, and by the way, we won't have too much contact with you. We won't really be talking to you, helping you, encouraging you, coaching you, providing the supports, the options and the opportunities that you require. So in relation to the National Internship Scheme so far, the take-up and the interest in it, both by employers and by interns, has been very good. As we speak, there are over 1,400 people who have commenced internships. About 500 of those came from the work placement programme, because they were allowed to transfer, because as people know, if you do an internship, in addition to your social welfare payment, you get a top-up payment of €50. And I very specifically wanted people who were on the work placement programme, if they wished to transfer to the internship, that opportunity would be there. A lot of people, as I expected, have done that. It amounts to about 500 people. But there are in total, as I said, over 1,400 people currently on internships. So there's well over 800 people who have commenced an internship entirely from scratch in the 12 weeks since the scheme started. Are there teething problems? Well, of course there are. You don't create a whole new scheme without having, for instance, people making application to become hosts, and frankly the application is not about interning. And we have a large number of people who are constantly checking, validating and taking feedback from the public, taking feedback from social media, taking feedback from people like deputies and senators in the Oireachtas who would say, are you sure that that's quality? When we are asked about stuff like that, it's our job to ensure that it is. The scheme is chaired, the steering group for the scheme is chaired by the Chief Executive of HP in Ireland. We have quite a number of business people involved in it from the get-go. We have a stakeholders group which includes employers and trade unions who are very active, and there's regular discussions in relation to quality. And currently as well we're putting in an evaluation structure, because I think this is one of the reforms that we need in this country in social welfare. When I came in as Minister, on I think it was the 11th of April, I got this very large report done by the SRI about people's experience on FOSS courses, but it related to 2006 and 2008, the height of the boom. Where was the information about 2009 and 2010 and whether or not people's experiences are positive or negative? So one of the things we have to do is to have evaluation systems built in, and we need then to learn from experience. If you're in business and you're responsible for a budget and it's not working out, you have to learn. Just as lots of us as politicians, we have to listen and learn to people's concerns. And I think this is one of the changes we have to make in public administration in Ireland, that we build in evaluation and we learn from the experience to actually amend schemes. One of the issues which was brought to my attention was the question of people who run false training courses, who when they're on a course go off the live register. We have made arrangements now that they, as it were, their status in terms of being on the live register, it can be suspended if they finish the course. The period of the course won't disqualify them from taking up an internship if previously they had the 3-month on the live register or signing on qualification.
Ministers, 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and as I say, I am very grateful to all the people who have been in fairly continuous contact. One last point I'd like to deal with, because it comes up a lot, and I just want to explain this. Lots of people have said, why have any qualification period at all? The 3-month qualification is difficult. I would like to respond to that. However, the IMF, in agreeing to this and in agreeing, and whether we like it or not, and we're on the 3rd anniversary of the event and of the disastrous bank guarantee that led to our loss of sovereignty, we're required to show that people are moving from unemployment and the live register into, it could be education, it could be training, it could be JobBridge. But I want to say that JobBridge is receiving very positive feedback. It won't be perfect for everybody, just as no job is perfect for everybody. But I think that the people who've been working on setting it up, it's the first big cooperation between my department and the old Labour side, Labour Services side of FOSS. And I think that the civil servants who've been working flat out on it, holding weekly meetings with people like myself and others, evaluating it on a constant basis, I do think that they have achieved and helped to achieve an awful lot in a short period of 12 weeks. But we will be able to evaluate it, I suppose, in about 9 months' time, when we see, as it were, the first graduates of internship and how they're faring. Thank you.
Margaret,